love the channel and find it useful in becoming a happy retiree. Subscribe today. Bill in Snellville. Bill, what's going on?
Good morning.
Good morning. How can I help?
Yes, in reading your book where you give us the three buckets, the cash, the growth, and I believe it's income.
Right, really four buckets if you count cash. So it's cash, it's income, alternative income, and growth. But yeah, we'll go three buckets, which are really the investment ones. Yep.
Regarding the income, where you suggest bonds and such, will a target fund suffice? In other words, if the target fund is broken into a 60-40 ratio, 60 stock, 40 bonds, is that equivalent to individual bonds, or would you recommend individual bonds?
100%. The answer is yes. And in some cases, it might even be better because if there's this great debate whether index funds will, in general, outperform the S&P 500, and that is still and always will be up for debate, and there's a certain percentage of index funds that do better than active funds. There's much less debate on the bond side, Bill. And the debate says, look, actively managed bond portfolios actually do very well relative to the bond indexes. So if you have a target date fund, within that target date fund will be a sleeve that is very likely, not in all cases, but likely there's a sleeve that is being actively managed on the bond side. And that, I believe, you really do want. Absolutely, that 40% within the target date fund is or that 40% that's bond oriented. Sure, that fills, depending on the percentages, or I don't know that yet, or the dollar amounts. But let's say your whole retirement is 40% your whole retirement is technically in a target date fund, and 40% of it is in a couple different or a variety of bond funds within the target fund, then that absolutely covers that bucket. What is important, though, the other thought about that bucket, as rates are going higher, Bill, and bond managers have been active about this, knowing that as rates go up, bond prices can come down. That's not necessarily the case in short-term bonds or floating rate bonds, but if you were to own a bunch of intermediate to long-term bonds, then that's when you can really lose a lot of principal, or at least temporarily lose principal on the bond side or in that income bucket. If you're in a target date fund, the chances of the managers on the bond side of the equation being stuck in a bunch of long-term bonds, I think that's a low probability. So I think it's a good thing if you're using target date funds. And yes, that portion of it definitely covers you on the income bucket. The one thing that a target date fund typically does not have any exposure to, Bill, is that alternative income bucket, which are closed-end funds and REITs, real estate investment trusts, and energy pipeline companies that pay a high level of current income. So when you're in retirement, that's an important piece of the equation too. And typically a target date fund doesn't do that, but at least you're getting two out of the three buckets with a target date fund for the most part.
Very good. And a quick follow-up to that, Wes, is I was considering putting the entire amount that's in the Roth IRA into nothing but bonds to ensure that if a drop in the market happens, that I will not suffer that loss. Is that a wise move?
You could make the case that your Roth investment allocation should be even more aggressive than your other accounts, because technically the Roth is that's the last bucket you tap. It's correct. In the future, when you're in later stages of retirement, it's grown, now it comes out tax-free. There's an argument to say, hey, that's the kind of the last piece that you touch from an income perspective, even though it's tax-free. And because of that, Bill, it gives that bucket of money a longer time horizon, which says, hey, you can be a little bit more aggressive. So I wouldn't make the Roth itself the one conservative piece of the equation. And there's no perfect answer on this, but I like having most different accounts, whether it's an IRA or a Roth, to have them both be balanced. I personally don't love, the Roth is the conservative money, the regular IRA is all the aggressive money and the growth, but as a big picture, they're balanced. I'm not as big of a fan of that. You can make a really good argument about that. Some financial advisors do. I like to have each particular account, for the most part, have its own balance and own bucket approach and own diversification. But I think that's a little bit of a matter of preference. Bill, thank you for your call. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Well, thank you. Now I've got to go to church. I'm in the parking lot.
God bless you, my friend. All right, have a great one. Hi, I'm Wes Moss, and thanks for taking a minute to hear about what's so different about my new book, You Can Retire Sooner Than You Think. So unlike other retirement books, this book will give you a step-by-step guide, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, to learn from what these successful and happy retirees did to get there. I hope you enjoy the book, but more importantly, I know that it'll help you retire sooner than you think.